Well, next project. Okay. We're all familiar with the cockpit project, which is a bit stalled because of the weather, although it's actually not raining right now, which is good. So I've laid out the structure for the new thwarts, locker thwarts, whatever we're going to call these. The actual seat surface is going to be solid mahogany. Expensive. 24 inches deep. The first 4 inches won't lift up. Then there'll be 44 inches that lifts, and then the last section there won't lift up. I'm going to make the first 4 inches and the 44 inches out of single stock, and I'm going to not laminate them, but edge join them all the way back and up, where it raises 6 inches up the back, all in one solid piece, which I'll then later cut up. I hope that's the best way to do it, and then fill in the rest of the pieces at the end. Because it's a glue up, I want to get it done today so it can dry for a couple of days before I put the saw to it, or a day or whatever. Okay, so here I have 6 pieces, 1x8 mahogany, 8 feet long. What I need to do now is grade them, because of these 6 I need 4 really good ones, and I'm not sure I'm going to get it. This one is a good example. It's got a nice straight grain. It's actually 8 feet long because they're not all. I have no serious end splits at either end. Looks pretty good even down to this end. If you look around the butt end of this board, you can see that it's got the paint on it from in the forest, and that's actually the chainsaw that made that cut. So I'm amazed there's no end splits on here, because that is that wood has been cut a long time ago. So that is a usable board. This side wasn't dressed very well, but that'll be okay. I can put that as the bottom. This next one, very wavy grain. I'm a little worried that that's going to open up, but on the whole, it's okay. It's also 8 feet long, and no end splits. So that board is probably usable. Again, not dressed very well on the back side, but I can deal with that. Next one down. Again, very wavy grain. I really worry about that opening up in time. It's got 6 inches of end split down here. So that board is only 90 inches long. So that one is no good to me. I won't show you all the rest of these. I've already had a look at them. There are 4 boards just barely usable in here. I have a little bit of end splitting, so I can't get the full 8 feet. I can only get about 92 inches out of the best 4 boards, and only 2 of them have straight grain. So it's not ideal, but I'll get by. It means my thwart will have to be a little bit shorter, and yeah, that's okay. All right, so let me get those boards set up, get them cleaned up, and start cutting. Here we go. I've cut and graded the planks I had into the individual pieces. I've checked their edges, I've checked their faces. Now I'm going to edge them. Now, in proper cabinetry, I have a machine called an edger, which is a machine that basically planes the edge of the board super flat. So when you join multiple boards, the gap disappears. I don't have one. In the old days, you'd use a really long edging plane, a really long plane. I don't have one of those either. So poor man's edger is a table saw set to just skim, and I mean just skim the edge, and which will square it up, take out any tiny little imperfections, and improve it substantially over the way the wood came, because it wasn't all that tidy. All right, so let's just clean up these edges. Okay, so I'm just finishing scribing where I'll put the screws. So these are the planks laid down. These are the battens that are going to be supported from the underneath. It's all going to be epoxied together. The reason the battens don't come all the way to the front is because the front edge will overhang the upright, and the reason they extend off the back is I'm going to add some extra structure to make that extra strong at that connection. Anyway, you'll see what that's all about. Okay, I'm going to pre-drill some counterbores in these and then mix up some epoxy. So let's mix up a little epoxy. This is Smith's layup and laminating. It's a bit cold, so it's going to be a little bit hard to pour. Not only is it going to be hard to pour, it's going to be hard to stop. Okay, so I'm going up to about there, taking into account the taper of the cup and how quickly I can put the brakes on here. There we go. Okay, I'm going to call that done. So what I've done is I've put a little red construction tape down underneath the seams so that the epoxy that dribbles through won't bond it to my work surface. My work surface, of course, is just a piece of relatively good 3/4 inch ply on top of a bunch of Rubbermaid totes, so it's as flat as I'm going to be able to get away with. Alright, so let's start to lay this up a bit here. Oh, nice and gooey. Now, I don't have bar clamps big enough to clamp a project this big, so I'm going to have to use ratchet straps. Not very convenient, but they'll do. If I had a dime for every time I've had to use a ratchet strap in my life. Being in the construction industry, I had lots of ratchet straps. Come on now, there we go. Not too. Looking good, looking good. Certainly pumping lots of epoxy out, which is a good sign. Get some epoxy on the back side of this. Okay, so that one goes there. This one goes in the middle, right about there. Okay. Actually, this may be time for the screw gun. Okay. And carrying on with the cockpit project, the two main sections of the thwarts are glued up and preliminary sanded. Really loving the look of that. That one doesn't have much straight grain on it, but the other one, if I can bring this around, you can have a look here, has much more straight grain. Anyway, they came out really well, and the piece that's gluing up now, I'm just about to take apart and sand, is actually two pieces. It's the last section at the very back of the cockpit where the combing curves around. So this is the edge that will meet up with the rest of the opening thwart. This is a fixed piece, and it's basically both sides. I just have to cut it in the middle, but I just wanted to glue them up together to make it one component. Okay, let's take this apart and sand it up and start fitting them. Whoa, big day. So getting these off the sort of table that I work on is a little bit of a project, because of course all the epoxy that seeps out onto the construction tape doesn't stick really well, but it does stick a bit, and some of it oozes over the edge and bonds to the plywood. So I've had a bit of a project getting the other two thwarts off. Some little bits of stray epoxy are making this interesting in different ways. Okay, so what I have to do, I grab a couple of shims and my hammer and tip this up and find a spot where I can start driving them apart. There we go, and it's off. Okay, so there's the plank. Stray epoxy, really bonded. Sanding. Because I'm sanding epoxy, not only am I going to use a dust mask, but I'm actually going to use my respirator. Because I've heard stories of people eventually getting completely overwhelmed by epoxy so that they have a hypersensitivity to it. And I don't want that. This is a terrifying cut for me because there's a lot of equity in this piece of wood, these pieces of wood, this single component. All right, let's see if I can make a nice clean cut here. All right, that's pretty good. I won't say it's razor clean, but it's pretty good. All right, whew, one down, a whole bunch to go. You don't have to watch all this. Hi, welcome back. We jumped ahead a bit here. We never really got the sun they promised, and I've only got about another 20 minutes of daylight. Anyway, working on getting the thwart in. At this end, you can see I have the piece that doesn't lift up and grain matched. So nice, eh? So that piece will stay and be attached and sealed to the bulkhead. The middle section tips up. I'll explain you some complex stuff about that. And I'm just making a template for the back piece here, which I've just finished. And I'm going to cut this out of the piece I glued up yesterday. Just enough wood. It seems bigger than I thought. Anyway, I calculated it should be just fine. Let's go see. Well, good morning. Back at it. Another beautiful day. What a gift. Okay, so we're on the starboard side now. Everything's squared up. The end piece is scribed, and I just made a little template for the upside down aftmost piece, which is a fixed piece. It won't open and close, and that should be pretty much exactly right on. Really looking forward to seeing that in place. Amazingly enough, this is the exact template I used on the other side, and it's within 1/8 of an inch of fitting perfectly here, which is amazing when you consider all the curves and stuff going on. I'm loving this sunshine. There's no question weather in Victoria, BC is pretty amazing, but in the winter it does tend to be a bit wet. So any days you have lovely sunshine, it's early December, and it's a gift. You know, I absolutely adore this saw. When I was building houses in the construction industry, I went through quite a few. I didn't go through them, but when you have a crew of 12, tools get used up. Anyway, left-hand blade, cordless. This one is a newish one, a brushless. And the power and the control and I mean, because I'm right-handed, the ease of visibility instead of having to lean over to look at the blade. I just absolutely love this saw. All right. So this is a piece we just cut off, glued up. Will it break at the glue joint? Yeah, it did, but it was tough. Let's ease up those edges a little bit. Okay, I'm just loving this weather. Okay, so set myself up a little shop outside. That's because there's quite a lot of complex cutting to do for the mahogany strips that go here, the ones that basically match these ones over here. At this end, of course, they're a compound miter, so there's a curve to the transom plus a slope to the transom, and then at this end there's a slope to the bulkhead. I put the spacer in here because I'm going to slide the wood that goes against the bulkhead in behind afterwards to slightly improve the drainage. Anyway, so it's just, and every board is slightly longer. Just a bit of slowly trimming, fitting, cutting. You know the drill. Let's get to it. Perfect. I won't make you watch any more of this. Love it, love it, love it.